Hello everyone, welcome back to Hero Wars Guide. I want to talk about the upcoming event schedule, and in particular, one very time-sensitive event going along with the introduction of the Darkness Falls event. Starting out with the schedule, we are currently here just at the start of Elemental Synergy, towards the end of the King of the Jungle event, but when those wrap up, we will get the Darkness Falls event. And that's an Emerald Coin event that's going to match exactly the Four-Mother event that we had recently. At least in terms of tasks and milestones, it's an exact match, so every reason to expect the rewards will be the same as well. But then one day in, we're going to have this Forgotten Treasury event kick in as well. And for Western players, that's going to mean you want to hold off on some of your daily activities and spending, most likely for this first day, so that you can do it inside of the window that spans both events. I don't have tasks yet for this one. It's not actually in the game data. I just added it for visual representation here in this video. But it will probably follow the model that we've seen. We've had Forgotten Treasury a few times in the past. It's, if I remember correctly, essentially a CyberCon clone. And those are pretty nice events. Here, as we're getting a couple days into the event, we'll probably have a Time of the Fearless and 4X Emerald sale, somewhere in this time frame, starting and going through half of the Weaving Patterns event, which also for that one I don't have an exact task list, but probably will be a copy of what we saw recently. And then currently, actually in the game data, we have this Night and Day event, which is basically the light and dark version of the revamped Riotous Growth. And that one's a really nice event, in particular the Outland chest task. So given that the official teasers have not included this event, and this Weaving Patterns is going to run for the exact same duration, I would not be at all surprised if this bumped back to be after the conclusion of Weaving Patterns, or maybe partway through it. But as we get closer, you may keep in mind that this event is something to consider when you do any spending within this Weaving Patterns. Night and Day, maybe it'll stay where it is, maybe it'll push back towards the end, who knows. But if it doesn't stay where it is, maybe hold off on your Weaving Patterns spending towards the end of the event when we see whether it will kick in at the end. Okay, so that's what we have coming up on the schedule. Then the other thing that I want to talk about is the shop for the Corvus event. Alright, this is the time-sensitive piece here, because they have once again messed up the pricing on this shop. Now, I don't think the official Hero Wars team really watches my stuff, so I don't think there's a whole lot of risk of them coming in here and seeing this. But, as they say on other YouTube channels, and you may have heard, if you are watching this, keep it to yourself. I wouldn't necessarily want to paste this screenshot onto every public Discord out there and maybe have some official eyes drawn to it while there is still time to make changes to the game data. But in any case, all of the mistakes were made in the item portion of the shop. Everything other than the equipment is priced reasonably. And to give a little bit of explanation on this final column, this is the emerald value per coin if you spend the coins on this given slot. I didn't bother to fill it in for some of these because they're just items that I can't imagine any player where that's an appropriate purchase over these other things. But before digging into the items and the mistakes made there, if you're way ahead of your item development relative to skinstones, it may still make sense to get the skinstone chest. And that's what you're going to want to do on any spending that you do after this goes live. After the inevitable price changes go live. Because each time that they've released these mistakes, then, 6 or 8 or 12 hours will go by and then all the prices change. So if it's feasible where you're at in the world to get into the game shortly after this event goes live, make sure you do that right away and spend any coins that you get from, maybe having Corvus partially developed. But anyway, out of the stuff that is mispriced, almost all the items are usually around this 0.32 emeralds per coin level. But the green ones are good, they're mispriced in our favor, and the red ones are more expensive than they should be. So those are entries that you want to avoid. So the ones that are off by the most are these two tremor items. But if I remember right, the Cosmic Tremor is just made up of world tremors plus a very easily formed recipe for the Cosmic Tremor itself. So if you have any heroes that you're building up that will still need these, this is the best buy in the shop, and it'll be worth grabbing them. They're made mostly of the Trine items, so while there are a couple of dud fragments in there, many of them are still good. So this World Tremor, you'll want to pick up any that you still need there. And then the other things you want to pay attention to are these Trines, which will only cost 1,500 event coins. These are used everywhere, so it's very likely that these will be a good buy to have, at least a handful on hold. You'll quickly use them in other items that you build out. And then the other, top tier choice here is the Ruler's Globus. This is made of 2 Alucard's amulets and then an additional recipe. And at 15,000, that's a steal. I think the Alucard is supposed to be 12.5, and you can see that Alucard's is also in the shop for 1.5 times as many shop coins. So this thing, which is made up of 2 of them, is actually cheaper. But anyway, that has Lycanthrope Fangs, which is the challenge for a lot of people. And the Alucard recipe is also a pretty rare fragment, so this is going to be a great buy for any heroes that you still have pending needing these. And then the last one to look at before you drop back to the Skinstone chests, I think, is going to be this Radiant Armor, which is a recent rename from Shining Armor. But it's got its recipe, and then I think a Trine or 2, and then the Harunian Helm, which is the most painful fragment in this one. And I think can make buying 1 or 2 of these worthwhile, since they're basically a 2-for-1 sale if this shop goes live as is. Alright, so make sure you get into that event as soon as it goes live. Maybe let your guildmates know this is coming, but don't go plaster this on every public Discord out there. Alright, hope you all get a chance to enjoy the opportunity to get into the shop at these discounts. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for tuning in.